Okay, in this video, this is the second video where we look at Misha Tal's games. And in this game, he had the white pieces, and it is from a simultaneous display, a very spectacular game, played in 1958. So 1 year earlier than the game we just looked at, which was from the Candidates Tournament in 1959. It was played in Stuttgart in Germany, and the Karl Tal's opponent's name is not known. But it's amazing what a game he played without, well, you know, usually the Grandmaster plays 40 odd games at the same time. But it's amazing what tactics he saw in this game. Let's have a look.
Wow.
E4, C5, Brazilian, and we see the main line. Often the grandmasters in simultaneous displays don't play a main line because there could be an opponent who just knows a lot about that main line and they like to deviate, but Tal doesn't. And here G6 was played. Do you know the name of this line in the Sicilian?
No.
It's called the Dragon, and it's a very
Oh, is
spectacular
that
and
because of
sharp opening.
the tail? Yeah, because of the tail or something, is it?
Yeah, black pawn structure looks like a dragon. Well, I don't think so, but that's where it got its name from, I think. Um, yeah, Bishop E3, Bishop G7, F3, giving E4 some protection. And here, castling is the main move for black, but he played knight C6 here, which can never be a bad move. Queen D2 and Bishop D7. Black waits with castling. And again, we see castling queenside from white, which is a normal way to play in the dragon for white. And Queen A5. Similar to the previous game, we see white wants to attack on the king side, black wants to attack on the queen side. King B1, we see this move a lot when there's long castling, that the king makes one more move towards the corner. Rook C8 from black. Now, so far black has played quite well. And Tal comes with G4, threatening G5, so black plays H6, and then H4. All very standard stuff. I don't think Tal had to think much so far. It's just a theoretical line in the dragon. A6, bishop develops, and knight E5. Very often the knight goes to that square in the dragon. And Tal plays G5. He needs to attack. Black took. Great take back and take on H1. Now this is where the magic starts. Because you and I would have recaptured on H1 and think, well, we have a nice open file for our rook.
He took the knight on F6.
He took the knight on F6 indeed. And that's an exchange, right? Because he lost a rook and got a knight. He lost an exchange. So you have to know what you're doing when you're taking on F6. Of course, the bishop is attacked on G7. And the rook is attacked on H1. And what would you play here with black to deal with those two problems at the same time?
I deal with them at the same time.
Well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. But what do you play here with black? You have a rook is hanging and a bishop is hanging. So you're in a bit of trouble.
Well, okay. So two things come to mind. One, you take the rook, so you've dealt with that. But I'm looking at F6 take G7 and then promoting, and then I'm looking at that as well.
Yeah, but it's black to play, right? So
Yeah,
f takes
so
G7 is a move from white.
oh, I would take the. Do you take the pawn? You take the pawn.
But then you lose your rook on
Oh
H1.
no! Sorry. So it's black to play.
It's black to play. White has just taken your knight on F6. This was the last move, you know.
If I
Rook
was
takes
black,
H1 and G takes F6. Black to
okay, so
play
I would take the rook on D1.
on D1. And that is what black did indeed, because it makes sense, right? Because it's check. So white does not have
Yeah,
time to take on G7.
yeah,
And if you then, let's say, recapture, then bishop takes F6, and black simply
yeah,
has an extra exchange. You want an
yeah.
exchange, so has Tal gone crazy? No, he hasn't, because after rook takes D1 check, he took back with the knight. And why is it different than What happens if we now take on f6? Why is taking with the knight different? Scan the board.
Oh yeah, the queen's hanging.
Exactly, the queen's hanging. That's the whole difference. So
So
there's
why wasn't the queen hanging before? Was it already hanging? And
well, the knight was on c3, see, and that's why he recaptured with the knight and not with the bishop or with the queen after rook takes d1 check. Do you see that?
yeah, so knight has took d1, so that's happened. I get that.
Yeah,
But then the queen just takes the white queen, and it's a swap.
exactly. And that is what black did. Queen takes d2, and it's a swap, and then you take on f6, right? But Tal did not recapture the queen.
Oh. He took the bishop on g7.
He took the bishop on g7.
Yeah.
What a, and this is in a simultaneous display when he had 39 or 59 or whatever other games going on. He calculated this till the end. And it works, you know, it works for white. Of course, he's threatening, well, what is white's threat?
Checkmate.
Checkmate. By promoting to a queen or a rook.
Yeah.
So you don't have time to save. Black does not have time to save his queen. He doesn't have time to go back to a5 with the queen because he gets checkmated. So king d8 was played. And let's guess Tal's moves.
Promote g7, g8, queen.
g8 promote with check is always good, isn't it?
Yeah.
King c7. He is not checkmated. He ran away. And now, of course, the rook on c8 is attacking white's queen. So what do we do
Takes the
here?
rook with the queen. He takes the rook with the queen, doesn't he?
Yeah, we check. You have to recapture.
This is mad.
And then, what does white play here?
Then take the queen with the bishop.
Then take the queen. And now the smoke is cleared.
Wow.
Tactics are over. We do a body count. And what do we see?
Yo, how do you do that?
2 pieces up for white, right?
That's ridiculous.
Isn't it? Want to see that in the replay?
Yes, please.
Yeah, let's go back to where the magic is. We skipped the opening. So let's start here. So g5 and h takes g5, h takes c5. And here's where the magic starts. Black decided to take on h1. He doesn't have to, but he did. He thinks I'm winning an exchange. Well, of course, white can recapture here, then he's not winning the exchange. But Tal, here he must, you know, when Tal took on f6, he must have seen the final position already. Because otherwise you just lose an exchange. So here, when he took on f6, he had to have calculated it till the end. We saw that black took on d1 with check, which is a very logical move. We can also quickly see what happens, which Tal also must have calculated. What happens if the rook rushes back? Let's look at this line. What does white play then?
Well, I would still take the bishop, don't you?
Then you take the bishop and rook takes. And white has 2 pieces for the rook and a very good position. So this is already a slight material advantage for white because 2 pieces are worth more than the rook. Now, we looked in the video not so long ago when you had, I think, 2 knights against the rook and you said you'd rather have the rook. Well, 2 pieces are worth, usually, depends on the position, of course, but usually 2 pieces are worth more than a rook.
Yeah.
So this was already nice for white as well. So, and that's why after rook takes h1, g takes f6, black said, well, I can take with check, you know, sort of an in-between move. I don't have to worry about my bishop on g7. I take with check. And recapturing with the bishop or with the queen is bad, but with the knight, which Tal must have seen again when he took on f6, now it works because the queen on a5 is hanging. Without that detail, the combination would not have worked.
So is he trying to buy a move in advance, knowing that he'd take that?
Yeah, he wants to take on g7, and in this case he can because he is because black's queen on a5 is unprotected. If the queen on a5 was protected, then also it wouldn't work because then black does not have to save his, play his queen. He can just take on f6. So he had to find a move. He had to win a move, indeed, um, to avoid black taking on f6. That's the whole point of knight takes d1. That's the whole point of this combination. And black took with check, but with knight takes d1, white saves a move because after queen takes d2, normally you have to recapture a queen, right? If somebody takes your queen, you better recapture it.
Yeah.
But in this specific circumstance, because of the promotion threat and the checkmate threat, it all comes together perfectly for white.
Yeah.
And here it is. Here it's over. Here you cannot prevent promotion, which means you don't have time to save your queen. You have to really make air for your king, with bishop e6 maybe, or king d8 to run away. But then, as we saw, white can take with check and recapture, and he has won 2 pieces in the process.
Right.
Black magic.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so that's a very nice game from Tal. Anything you want to go back to on this game?
No, thank you, Rick.
Okay. Well, now you can see why he was such a. Why did they call him the magician from Riga? He was from the Soviet Union, but he was from Latvia. Nowadays, the country, of course, is Latvia. He's also buried there.
So,
I want. Yeah.
go on. You want to go and visit?
Well, I want to. Yeah, I'd love to go to Riga to see the city, but then if I go there, then I definitely will visit Tal's grave. It's in the Jewish cemetery in Riga. He's buried there, so that will be a special moment to visit his grave.
Who do you prefer watching then? Paul Murphy or Tal?
Well, yeah, it's really you know, I love all the great players. It's who's your favorite child? So of course Morphy's games are a bit more accessible for you and me because that it was 100 years earlier, and chess was not so developed yet. And I like the opera game. That's all pretty straightforward. Black didn't play very well, and then Morphy played that amazing game, and he has many more of that type of game. When Tal was at his height of his power in the late 50s, early 60s, yeah, chess had developed a lot further, and the games are more complicated. But I cannot answer your question.
Do you reckon chess has more to go yet?
Oh, of course. We're learning so much now. The grandmasters are learning so much more about the game from the engines. The engines are now frighteningly strong, and no chess player, not the world champion, will not be able to beat his own phone. The app on the phone is stronger than the strongest human player, and the way the computer plays opens up new horizons for chess. We're learning things about the game that we didn't know were possible. The computer plays moves that we would never play with our human knowledge, but now we understand. We try to understand why does the computer play like that, and then so the answer is 100% yes. There's so much more to discover in this game for humans.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I need to work on calculations. I don't think I'd get to that level, but I need to get some level because I'm not very good at calculations, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about it a lot, and we'll keep talking about it because you're right. Positional understanding is really important, um, but calculations is even more important because you can play a beautiful positional game, and then in time trouble you hang your queen, and everything is for nothing. So, of course, calculation and positional play go hand in hand. If you have your pieces in nice positions, if you develop everything and you keep your king safe, tactics will arise. So they definitely go together. But it's chess is a very tactical game. So putting time in calculations is well spent time to improve at this
I
game.
think moving forward, Rick, I think our next session will be calculation. So the nooks and crannies on it is that the same? The nooks and bolts of it is so calculations is taking things, looking at attackers versus defenders, maybe that, looking at where the pieces go, what can I, like, how Tau done all of that then to end up with a 2-piece advantage. he's calculated that. So in a brief description, what would you say? How would I move forward at my level with calculation? Is just basic, just take where does it end up? What could be? Is it like that?
Yeah, there's some the tactical motifs, of course. You know the double attack, the discovered attack. Um, always scan the board for loose pieces. Um, all these, and we've worked a lot on those, on all the difficult tactical motifs in chess. And to answer your question, the only way to get better at it is to do lots and lots and lots of puzzles. The more puzzles you can do, and there's so many databases of puzzles. I know I sent you sheets as well in the past, and you worked on those. Um, but you can never do enough tactical puzzles and practice all those motifs, and then of course have a mix of those as well. Checkmate patterns, yeah, pawn forks, knight forks, bishop double attacks, queen double attacks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Will we go to the last game?
Yes, please.